Globally, an estimated 500 million persons are disabled. More than 80% live in poor countries, and more than 50 million are children. In the Central American nation of Belize, more than 35,000 persons are believed to have some form of disability. But officials can only estimate how many of those persons are children.
The problem is knowing the real number of children with disabilities, because those children are mostly invisible. They stay at home and the communities are hiding them, and you don't see them in school, you don't see them in health center, and this is the major problem.
According to Nadine Perrault, Regional Child Protection Officer for the United Nations Children's Fund, fear, shame, stigma, and discrimination has led to a sad state of affairs.
Only a few countries have really made efforts to put those children in the forefront and to have inclusive policy that really include the child with disability. They will be left alone without any kind of support, without any kind of activities, so they would be just there. But what people do not understand, that people with disabilities, not only they have rights, but they are also, like everybody else, they can do things and they have the right to express themselves.
In 2005, nurse Laura Longsworth conducted a situational analysis of children with disabilities in Belize. In addition to a breakdown in the policy and monitoring structure for disability services, Longsworth's findings also revealed children with disabilities were still being tied up, regularly beaten, and vulnerable to abuse and neglect.
Children were isolated, not having access to care and meals. Because of their behavior, the family would probably leave them in a room by themselves or out in a wide open space with nobody to look after them. The situation is a difficult one because there are families with more than one kids with disabilities, and how without a formal structure, what do we do? What do those families do? How do they manage? Because it's difficult.
Longsworth's study recommended a wide range of initiatives in education, health, child protection, and poverty reduction programs. But 2 years later, there were still major gaps in the availability of support services for persons with disabilities.
I love school.
In September 2007, Doris Stain came to national attention after her parents complained to the media that 3 different primary schools had refused to accept the child because spina bifida has confined Doris to a wheelchair.
I don't feel happy and proud to say that they're in our school, you know, instead of the home and no, they do nothing.
That determination and tremendous public support compelled the Ministry of Education to make infrastructural changes to one of the schools to accommodate Doris's wheelchair. And in that classroom, Doris now dreams of a brighter future.
I want to be a doctor because I want people to see.
But Stain's story is not an isolated case. In 2011, the government of Belize finally signed and ratified the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. But there is still a need for laws dealing with accessibility for persons with disabilities and protecting them from job discrimination. Belizeans of all ages with disabilities continue to struggle for inclusion.
If we don't take care of our children, it says a lot about our society and about the people that we are.
Special Envoy for Women and Children, Kim Simplis Barrow, has become an important voice for disability support services. Since her appointment in 2008, Barrow has made it her mission to make improving the quality of life for children with disabilities a national priority.
I would want to see children happy with them being who they are. And with children with disabilities, it's accepting, this is who I am. But there's so much that I can give you, even though I have a disability.
Officially, Belize's history of disability services dates back to its independence in 1981, which was coincidentally the International Year for Disabled Persons. Over the next 2 decades, some milestones were achieved in the private and public sector, thanks in part to parliamentarian the Honorable Philip Golson, who was visually impaired. Many innovative programs have been designed to support persons with different abilities, but few were ever implemented. In 2000, a lack of resources led the government of Belize to divest disability services in the hopes that a non-governmental body would attract much-needed funding. But the plan backfired as structured services, policy, and monitoring fell apart. In the aftermath, the Community Agency for Rehabilitation and Education, CARE, was formed in 2002 by concerned citizens.
Parents were seeking services, and the services were very little. So immediately as CARE began and working in the various field areas, there was a lot of work. The demand was there.
CARE has accomplished marked success in providing much-needed support services to persons with disabilities using the innovative community-based rehabilitation model. However, with less than 10 field rehabilitation officers, the organization's resources are woefully inadequate to meet the demands of the thousands in need. For CARE Director Evan Kowo, support and empowerment services for persons with disabilities is a must.
Because in the near future, the way things are changing, they will be the ones that funding agencies will listen to. They will be the ones that have to go and lobby the government to put ramps and to make changes to buildings and put policies. This is the Belize that I want to see.
That's also the Belize Kim Barrow wants to see. And as a part of her plans, she's come up with a creative idea: the construction of an inspiration center, complete with occupational and rehabilitative therapy rooms, inclusive playground, after-school homework help, computer room, art, music and drama classes, and an area for basic but important medical services.
Somewhere that they will want to go every day because they are able to explore and see things different and hear music and just be themselves. The truth is that many families cannot afford this type of service. And it's a holistic service, really. It's a health component, it's recreation component, it's everything that you can think of for children with disabilities.
The center will definitely bridge the gap with the medical model and the community-based rehabilitation that we do. CARE has a strong component of CBR. By having this center, we'll be able to get services from physical therapists, occupational therapists, and other professionals that will be able to come to the center, and the parents will be able to bring their children, and then they will be able to access services that CBR does not give them.
The Inspiration Center's motto is focusing on all abilities for inclusive development. The center is designed to erase fear, stigma, and discrimination, and will serve both the able and the differently abled.
So that these children can be exposed to a child with disabilities. Respect, dignity, that they deserve that. As human beings, if we know how to respect ourselves, we will be able to respect others. We have to be the voice for those kids. We as adults have to be the ones advocating for those children.
But history has shown that 1 or 2 people, or even 1 or 2 organizations, cannot change the world. We all have a role to play in changing the status quo.
We are losing. Everybody is losing because of the way we are, the society in general are treating people with disability. This is the saddest part, that in a lot of society, in a lot of country, they do not just care. So which means that the commitment is not there, the will is not there, the desire to do something is not there, and this is the saddest part.
And in these dire economic times, your financial support is critical to Belize's national structured response to include persons with disabilities in all aspects of society.
Resources are a major issue, and I think that if there was a coming together of everybody to identify sources of funding that would support the initiative, that would be better.
Person with disability, regardless of the disability, and I'm also talking about mental, very severe mental disability, they have something to say, and they know that they have something to say, and we are there to give them this space for them to voice their rights and to be able also to live as anybody else.
I think it's important that we look at our children and we afford them the opportunities that they deserve, because children are our future, but they're also our present.
Nothing for us without us. Help us give children with disabilities the basic human rights they are entitled to. Please contact the Office of the Wife of the Prime Minister to find out how you can financially support efforts to create a Belize fit for all children, including those with different abilities.